going to be talking about embroidery today and how embroidery can be used in 3 different ways for students to enhance either their products for their coursework, but also their products for their exam. When they're designing an exam, students are often not very creative, so it's often worth trying different ways of using one technique. So we're going to be looking at free-stitch machine embroidery, free-stitch machine embroidery using a dissolvable fabric, and free-stitch machine embroidery on a computerised embroidery machine.
Okay, so this is the dissolvable fabric, and Ellie is using a darning foot to just do the first few stitches so that the thread gets a hold of the dissolvable fabric, which is like a very thin plastic bag. So she just needs to move those threads, those loose threads out of the way, and then she's going to use the edge of the embroidery hoop to start to draw some little loops, so she can go in any direction she likes because she's dropped the feed dogs underneath there, and she's building up effectively a fabric of her own. And then is using this on the side of her bag as a complementary piece of lace to go with the lace that she's bought. She's making sure that she's joining up the stitches and not just drawing in any direction, because when you dissolve the plastic, otherwise it can go into a little bit of a mess. So she's just making sure she goes over the stitches several times so it makes a nice firm sort of pattern. You use the foot in the same way, so to finish off, she'd just lift up the presser foot and then gently make sure that the thread is left long. She can tidy those up afterwards.
Okay, so what Ellie's doing now is she's just running her embroidery under some cold water. It's turning into a bit of a glue because it's dissolving the fabric. She's lifted off her embroidery. She might want to just run it under a little bit more water because there's still some glue left in there. If you do leave glue in the embroidery, it can create like 3D structures, so it can be left to dry and it will dry firm, so it could be a technique you use, but Ellie wants it to be soft so she can use it as a lace. She's laying it flat on a paper towel to dry, but she needs to reshape the little hoop so that it dries into its shape. Okay, so Natasha's using free-stitch embroidery just to enhance some sublimation printing that she's done on her product. She's going to keep her fingers clear from the needle. She has got her product quilted already, which means she can't put it in an embroidery hoop because it's too thick. However, she's still doing the first few stitches by hand wheel just to get it going. Then she's going to put her hand further away from the needle, holding the edge of her fabric. And she's just going to draw around the prints that she's done. It can be used in that sort of way, so she can go right around. Or on some of her designs, she's tried to abstract sublimation print, so she's tried to go out of the borders a little bit to enhance them. Sometimes the thread, if you leave it long, can get in the way and it can trap around the embroidery hoop. So because she's dropped the feed dog, like on the active film, the dissolvable fabric, she's able to move in any direction that she likes. So effectively, the sewing machine is becoming a drawing tool for her. Same way, cut the foot up. Right, so Charlotte's chosen to do some computerised embroidery on a computerised embroidery machine. This machine's got about 100 designs built in already. However, they can design themselves on a computer and then plug it in on a USB. So she's selected to do the tulip, and she's threaded it up just like a normal sewing machine with the first thread. Just point to the first thread, Charlotte, that it's asking for on the screen. It's asking for the bright green there. So she didn't have to choose the bright green. She could change the colours. As a designer, that's her choice. But for this particular occasion, she wanted to go with bright green. So she's threaded it up, checked the bobbin thread. She's now going to put the presser foot down. She's going to press start, let it do a few stitches, and then press stop, otherwise it tends to stitch that thread into the design, which can look untidy. And then she presses start. Once it's finished its bright green section of the design, it will bleed, ask her to lift up the press foot, cut the thread and change the thread for the next colour, which you want the meadow green for. And on the screen it shows there that it's going to take about 8 minutes. The idea being, when students are busy doing other parts of their product, they are able to then go off and leave the machine and just wait for it to bleed. Alternatively, in an exam, they might be able to think, this would be a good way of how embroidery is done in the industry, because the computer is saving employees time. The other good feature about embroidery machines is that they do come with a foot pedal, but obviously Charlotte's not using the foot pedal at all. So for children who are unable to use foot pedals, they can use this as a normal sew machine as well as an embroidery machine. Okay, so the machine's leaf to indicate that it's finished its leaf part, and it's asking for a meadow green. So she's just lifted up the presser foot. Charlotte has then cut the top thread, released it and taken it out. And she's going to press it up. And she's going to load up the meadow green, and it threads in exactly the same way, in the same direction as normal machines do. It's quite a slippery thread, so sometimes she just has to make sure that it goes through all of the thread guides, particularly the one she's approaching now. It falls through the front loop. Sometimes it helps to hold the thread at the thread main bit and then pull on it that way, and that's it clicking. So her only job is to decide on the colours, decide on the design, decide on the placement, and thread the machine up as the colour thread she's decided on.